Hassan, Giordano. We're back with the Daily Dose, and we're joined by the beautiful and lovely delegate from the 45th Legislative District in Baltimore City, Delegate Cheryl Glenn. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for being here.
Not a problem.
Thank you for being interested and concerned about what goes on in not just Baltimore City, but the state of Maryland.
Right, and you know, to have strong leaders like yourself, very outspoken leaders, really is refreshing when we come to this process, especially on the local level and the state level.
Thank you.
You have some of the, you know, the 140th legislative session just started in Annapolis 2 weeks ago. We heard some of the more sexier issues, the gun laws that the governor has put in, the new election law stuff, and even the Baltimore City school funding construction. So to start there, I know it's a very big push by the Baltimore City delegation, the Black Caucus, to get this bond authority funding for the city over the next 20 years. But what we're running into down here is other localities, even right next door in Baltimore County, Democrats and Republicans are alike, are kind of worried about giving that type of leverage and authority for a long period of time to a locality that honestly lost $58 million years ago in their school system and has no real... One legislator told me, said, look at it from a business standpoint. Baltimore City is it's a corporation. The state of Maryland basically is that. Why would we then fund another corporation who's just mismanaged money and doesn't have a good track record in terms of... You've been a champion of rec centers. You actually put it in the gambling bill to make sure that we get money for that. A lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, most people don't.
Right, and that's some of the stuff we try to highlight. But speak to why we need that funding for our children in the city of Baltimore.
Well, the way that I counter the pushback that I get from my colleagues is to say to them, we're not asking for additional money. We're asking for the same exact dollars. Just we're asking for it up front, and we're asking that we be allowed to use it differently. So we're not asking for additional money. So yes, I agree. We do have some issues in our Baltimore City public school system. Some of those issues I will not be addressing this session, but I certainly know that they're at the top of everybody's, understanding, and rightfully so. But if we're just talking about a new creative way to use the same dollars that we get, then it shouldn't be an issue, except for maybe they want to do the same thing but just didn't think about it. Right. I believe that that's more of the issue. It's just that people don't want to see Baltimore City think outside of the box. And so they look at the fact that the money would come as a block grant all at one time and look at it as this huge amount of money, which it is, but it's the same amount of money, that we already get. And so that's what we're saying. We're saying that our schools are the oldest in the whole state of Maryland, the oldest. And we already have a lot of issues in Baltimore City that our colleagues don't face in the other jurisdictions. And we know that some of our schools do need to be closed down, that are underutilized, and that need far too much work to make it efficient to rebuild them or put more money into them. So we do support the fact that some schools may need to be closed. Not as many, I think, as on the chopping block, but some of them. You can't have a school with 32 students and expect the state to still support that. So we're working through all of the issues, and hopefully we're going to come out, winning on this issue. We absolutely are going to stand united. All of us in the city delegation are united in this effort. So we're not going to be cherry picked off, and so we'll see where it goes. But we're not going to give up on it. And if we're not successful this session, then we'll come back next session.
As a newly minted executive committee member of the NAACP Baltimore branch,
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I haven't actually talked about this with anybody else, and so I'm going to start it with you. The death penalty is a big push that the national NAACP and our local branch in Baltimore is pushing, the repeal of that. As well as the elections, where the governor now says that he would like to see not only online absentee balloting, but he wants to see extra early voting sites. But Baltimore City is not included, even though we're one of those. We're close to 400,000 threshold in terms of registered voters, less than 4,000 away. So the NAACP has said if we can get one more site, we will guarantee that 4,000 of registered voters by the end of the year. Is that something that could be a possible amendment to the governor's bill?
Absolutely.
If we get an extra site?
You know, everything that's proposed is up to the possibility of being amended. You know, everything. No bill passes in the original form. Usually, no bill passes the way that it was originally proposed. So amendments is part of the, you know, day-to-day thing that we do here. I certainly know that we will amend it to add Baltimore City, but to take it one step further, I am going to ask for same-day voter registration. I think that in light of the fact that so many other states have it, and we want to encourage our people to vote. We don't want obstacles for people to be able to vote. And too often you have people who thought that they were on the rolls, who show up to vote, and whether it's early voting or not, if you're not on the rolls, you can't vote. So if a person decides after 10 years they want to vote, they should be able to do that, you know? And so I'm putting in a bill to have same-day voter registration.
What about party? And I just wrote about this yesterday in the Examiner. What about change of party affiliation in the primaries? Independents such as myself, third parties, we're locked out of the primary.
Right.
So would that, and that's not in the governor's current bill, but I think it's a push that we'll probably make is, and I don't know how you feel about it, but to be able to change a party affiliation either during early
primary,
right,
and then change it back for the general.
Right. I mean, if you're registering,
I don't have a problem with it. Right. I don't see how it could hurt anything.
Right.
I mean, you have the right to vote for whomever you want. So in Baltimore City, the primary is the deciding election. Right. You know, usually the general is just a rubber stamp of the primary results. And so I don't have a problem with it. I don't see any reason to disencourage anybody from voting. And so if people want to change their party affiliation, you know, we should make it possible to do so. And you're absolutely right. A lot of people are locked out of the primary. And that's something I hear over and over again. So maybe I can do a bill on that too. I didn't think about that, but I'd be happy to do that as well.
Oh, that'd be great. We might be able to just do it as an amendment to the current legislation.
Right.
You are introducing, for those who don't know, our bill that actually passed last year on the local level of Baltimore City to allow independent third parties to be appointed to local boards and commissions. This time for the state.
Absolutely. I didn't even know that that couldn't happen until you brought it to my attention at the community forum that we had. Right. So I'm more than willing. I want to engage people. I'm a grassroots public servant. I'm not a politician. Right. And I want to engage people because I think in doing so, then we can have an expectation that people will come out and vote. People are not going to vote if you don't engage them. So I'm willing to do any and everything I can to engage people. I think people will feel a lot better about the entire political process if they were more engaged.